Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today we're going to be updating our outfielders tier list. So we did infielders the other day, now we are doing outfielders. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys construct your lineups, plan grinds, stuff like that. If you're making like a late season World Series push, trying to get a peak rank for Weekend Classic coming up in, I think, 8 days. Hopefully this kind of helps you construct your lineups and win more games. So if you enjoyed the content, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And real quick before we get into it, I've been seeing a growing sentiment, small sentiment, but growing sentiment of learn how to hit lefty-lefty, learn how to hit inside sinkers. Just because I say that every single, for every card, does not mean I can't. If you do not know what this is over here, and you've never had one at any point in your MLB The Show career, don't talk to me. That's all I'm going to say. Don't talk to me. So, first one on the docket for today is Teddy Ball Game. Still really good. Little lackluster stats-wise at this point, just because we're getting, like, perfect cards, like Lou Gehrig, stuff like that. So, Ted definitely misses some power left. You have to parallel him to get, I think, max contact or max clutch, but if you have Ted, you probably have him super fractured at this point. Obviously, I don't think he has perfect quirks, if I remember right, but he's got most of them to where it doesn't really matter. He's got a pretty good swing. It's not my favorite swing in the game, but it's pretty good. So I like Teddy Ball Game still. He does not touch my lineups because, like I said, lefty-lefty, servers, inside sinkers, all of that stuff, I would prefer to avoid. If they want to change PCI shrinking and fix their servers, and not come out with a million disgusting lefty starters, yeah, cool, I'd probably use him, but I would prefer to avoid him. But I think he is close to being one of those lefties that kind of surpasses difficulty. And then I guess we will just skip to the bottom of the list so I don't have to sit here and give y'all motion sickness. Connor Griffin, cool. I like him a lot more as an outfielder than as an infielder, where like at shortstop, million switch hitting shortstops that have better stats, to be honest. In the outfield, he still has 99 speed. He still has really good reaction. I think he's definitely fits in better as an outfielder than an infielder. If you're running him and Brian Reynolds, you could run like him in even center field because he's really fast, and then run Brian as primary bright, and that's a pretty good outfield and would not be too hard to run the Pirates boost. I did see somebody mention something like that. I don't know. Obviously, you have to run Connor, but if you run him in center field, I think that's pretty up there. Maybe you'd want to run him in left and keep Beltran out there. Another alternative, but a very interesting card with a good swing. Just obviously no quirks because he's a prospect. Eli. C tier, I'm not trying to use Eli at this point. Speaking of prospects, speaking of no quirks, I just don't think his swing is great. Yeah, he's a switch hitter. Yeah, his contact's really good. I'd rather use Willie Castro. I think Willie Castro has a better swing. He's got at least some quirks. And I've just got reps with him where I didn't ever really love this Eli. I gave him like 3 games, something like that. Just didn't really click for me. He's very like Leo DeVries ish in that, he's good for most people, just not for me. Dick Allen, A tier. I think Biz Mackey hurt Dick Allen's reputation because before that Biz Mackey came out, you could have really made an argument for Dick Allen probably being the most well-rounded card in the game. Could play first, could play third, could play, I think, both outfield positions, and is just a disgusting hitter with a great swing, great quirks. I just see nobody using him because he's sandwiched between Bautista and Billy Wagner. So for most people, it's only really worth it to go get Billy, and not a ton of people have Bautista, and there's just better options. But if you love Dick Allen, or if you're running like a Phillies team, he's an absolute monster. KB, I view pretty similar to Connor Griffin. Both of them don't have quirks. Connor's a lot faster. Chris Bryant has better hitting stats. I think their swings are actually pretty similar. I think Connor's probably got the slightly better swing, but a lot of people stand Chris Bryant. He's not a bad card. On the last tier list, I saw a lot of sentiment of, why is Troy Glaus in D tier? Why do you hate Troy Glaus? I don't hate any of these. If I hated them, they would be in F tier. They're 99 overalls. All 99s are at least fundamentally decent cards. It's just, you're comparing you know, a gold bar to a palladium ingot. Like, yeah, one's a little more valuable, but you know, you'd be fine with either. So we've got Bazana here. B tier. I mean, I don't hate him. It's just you running him in center field takes away from you running other guys in center field. So he's like a mid 80 reaction, mid 80 speed guy. Where at the start of the year you had an argument for it because not a lot of people had Beltron, or it was before the Easter PCA and he actually had a good swing and there wasn't a ton of good lefty starters. Now there's just not a whole lot of argument for it. I think he projects way better in second base on like a Guardians team, or maybe even out of position at third base, something like that. Would probably be better than you running the card in center field. There are definitely some parks you could probably get away with. Like, you play some games at Coors where you need Beltron in center field, and you play some games where Ketel Marte can play center field for you. So it's kind of tough. It really depends on the park you play at. But I would prefer to avoid running him in center field. I guess you could run him in a corner spot because he has a secondary, but even then, like, I think his power is a little low to be running in a corner spot. Charlie Condon, terrible swing, dude. I was pretty excited to use him. His stats weren't crazy or anything. He's just a pretty hype prospect. I think he has struggled in like rookie ball or double A, wherever he's at, or at least he had a while ago when I heard about him. But the swing's just not there, dude. Hopefully he does not keep the same swing throughout his entire MLB The Show career, because that would be a little unfortunate. Berkey, A tier, awesome hitter. Don't get me wrong, awesome hitter. There was a reason he was S tier in the infield. It's because he's got 60 speed. So if you want to run the Astros boost and superfractor him and give him like 72 speed or whatever that would be, and stick him in right field where he's going to lose fielding because he's a primary first baseman now, it's rough. You'd almost rather DH him. You definitely would rather just play him at first base. I think the bat's still really good, and it's hard to find switch hitters that hit the way that he does to put in the outfield, but he's realistically, he's pretty similar to you running like all-star Aaron Judge in right field, and a lot of people aren't even comfortable doing that. So it's a hard sell. Bismacky, is he S tier? I'm gonna put him A tier. We'll see how many people watch the video as opposed to how many people just go down in the comments and click on the tier list and just raw dog it and don't have any context clues. I think it's similar to Bazana, where his best spot is not in the outfield. You do not want to be running Biz in the outfield. There's just better hitters that have better stats that are still switch hitters you can run in the outfield. I think he projects a lot better at second base, third base, even shortstop, first base, catcher. Just infield spots, he's just not that fast. I think he's 76 or 77 speed. I forget if I have a parallel on him or not. But he's way better as an infielder. I think his number one spot's catcher, and after that, it's second base. And then if you don't love your shortstop, if you don't love your first, third baseman, you can move him around. I just probably would not be running him in the outfield. Kyle Teal, another catcher, probably wouldn't want to run the outfield. On paper, is he that bad? No, he's just miles better as a catcher. As an outfielder, he's pretty unremarkable. Ted. Yeah, I'm not. It's kind of tough. I'm really not trying to run Ted in the outfield. The power's just not there. He's very similar to Berkman, where let's pull up a little comparison real quick. Burke and Ted. Can y'all see that? You sure can. I really got to see the speed. I don't really remember Simmons' speed. So Berkman's actually the better hitter by far. Other than Vision, which who cares, even hasn't beat on clutch. So fielding, very similar. Reaction, Ted's actually better, and then speed wise, he's better. So you're trading a better bat for, because they both have really good quirks, you're trading a better bat for a worse fielder. So I'd lean Berkman, but I guess objectively Ted probably is A tier. But my personal bias, leaning into it, I would put him in B tier. I don't like his swing. I haven't hit well with his cards all year. Josh Gibson, pretty similar, very like a Dick Allen-esque, kind of, you know, if Ted Simmons was like, I guess that's not a good comp, but like defensively, I view him as similar to those cards where there's definitely better options. He's far from like a Tim Raines or somebody like that in the outfield, or even a Ted. Like Ted's pretty good in the outfield. If you have Ted super fractured, he's like mid 80s reactions, he's like mid 70s speed, decent enough arm to where he holds his own. He's not bad out there. Most of these guys are either bad out there or the bat just doesn't really make up for it. I do need to check Josh. I haven't used him. I'd be lying if I've really like used him like that. I imagine he's very cheap now with this multiplayer drop. That is not how you spell Josh. Gibson. There we go. Yeah, so 73 speed, 81 reaction. That is pretty much exactly what I imagined he would be, or that I have seen in passing that he would be defensively. So just not a huge fan of actually running that card in the outfield. Another guy, not a fan of running in the outfield, Ohtani. I think he just goes in the DH tier. And I will be labeling the order of some of these guys because there's some primary outfielders you just do not want to be running actually in the field. You'd much rather DH them, similar to Rooker. I think I would rather use Rooker than Ohtani at this point in the game. I'd rather use Juan Soto than both of them. Soto's very borderline, where I wouldn't hate if you were still running Juan Soto in your outfield because you probably have him super fractured, but it's still not going to be a great experience. He's still going to get balls hit over his head. Gary Sheffield, DH, similar to Ohtani, where I'd probably go back and forth. I'd probably platoon them. Like I'd do Gary against lefties, Ohtani against righties. Kyle Tucker's better than both of them. Is he better than Rooker? Not for me. Sean Green, all right, another guy that can actually stick in the outfield. I would not be dying to use Sean Green. He's got okay quirks. His swing is pretty unremarkable. And then stat-wise, he's just mid. I mean, it's Sean Green every year. I'd rather use Dick Allen, have the righty, not have to worry about the lefty-lefty matchup, have the better quirks, better swing, in my opinion. Give me Dick Allen every day of the week. Ryan. Finally, another S tier card. Legit has an argument to be the best hitter in the game. He's got almost perfect quirks. I think he does not have bad ball hitter. I think that's like the only main quirk he's missing. Awesome swing, crazy vision. For some reason, I struggled a lot with the chase card one at the start of the year. But I think he just lined out a lot in retrospect. I think just giving him more power takes this card over the moon. I think it's him. I think it's Posada. And then Beltran's probably still floating around for like best hitter in the game on average. Some people will like Lou, some people will like Babe, but then it comes down to what's your batting average against lefties with them. So just as like most feared hitters on the game, I think Brian Reynolds is a crazy good card. He's also a good defender. So just an amazing card. Great reward for two great rewards for doing Team Infinity. It's nice to see them kind of get back to the mini collections. For TA, it just kind of took a while. Justice, I would have as a DH, and I think I'd rather use Ohtani with all his quirks. Let's see, Springer. B tier, like mid B. I don't even know. That might be generous. C tier. Not the craziest quirks in the world, not the craziest stats in the world. Has a good swing if you like that. If you like his swing, it's a good swing. And then just pretty mid in the outfield, not super fast. So unfortunately, I guess if you're a Springer fan, you should be praying for a World Series MVP card, something like that, because that will probably be his best card for the year. Bobby Abreu, B tier. I think he's just a lefty tax guy where I don't know. I have not enjoyed his swings. So he's kind of split. I think most people are on my side where it's just not that good of a swing to justify running him. But some people really like it, and he's got really good quirks, and the stats aren't bad. So I get it if you enjoy the card. I'd rather run everybody in A tier in my outfield over him, with maybe the exception of Josh Gibson, just because his defense isn't the best. But I think, you know, a very weak A tier or like a strong B tier is pretty proper for him. Granderson, wherever Sean Green's at, I think his swing's better than Green. I think Green beats him statistically. So just fine. Like, he's not going to sink That's a lie. He might sink your games if you go over 5 with him and he gets 4 at bats against a lefty. He might sink your ranked game. I'm not gonna lie. Caglione, he's probably just DH'd here, honestly. I mean, if we're being honest, like Charlie Condon probably should be too. So I'll put him in C tier to where I feel like he's passable, but not somebody I'm trying to run an outfield. Like he's not god awful like Rooker and Kyle Tucker. I mean, I think this Tucker has like 60 speed at the most, and he might have 37 or something like that. I forget like just how bad this card is speed wise. And then Otani just has like really bad reaction and stuff. So I think these two are pretty borderline, but I think I would call all of these DHs. Acuna, top of A tier. If you love the swing, he's awesome. If you parallel him a lot, he's awesome. It's just the quirks for me just aren't amazing. I had Tatis's, or not Tatis, I've had Acuna's that I've loved in the past because the swing's really good and because his quirks were perfect, like the extreme one from, I don't know if that was last year or 2 years ago, but that card was super nice and was basically a perfect outfielder. This one's definitely got some room to be improved, so I think he's a good option. I see plenty of people that hit really good with him. I wonder how much of the batting average is like doubles and home runs and how much of it is bad swing, bloop singles, bloop doubles, infield singles, stuff like that. So I think people have an inflated perception of a lot of these 99 cards, and his defense isn't good. It's like a gamble every time the ball is hit to him. So I think there's definitely some gripes to be had with this Acuna card, and his stats are just getting outdated at this point. But a lot of people still really enjoy him. The Bambino. This is a card that needs to be ran at first base. How bad is he defending? He's pretty bad. He's pretty bad. You'd probably rather run Josh Gibson, right? 74 reaction, pretty bad. The arm isn't super great. He is a silver fielder. You can get it up, and 64 speed. So I don't think that is DH quality. Like, it's not as bad as you running like Soto or somebody out there, but it's definitely not Ted Williams level defense. Although the bat is definitely Ted Williams quality. It's just you'd probably want to DH him in an ideal world, but he can be ran as an outfielder. Paul O'Neill. This is a card I actually need to check his fielding because he usually has all right fielding. It's just he's really slow. I know a lot of Yankees fans always really enjoy his swing. So 125, 108, 93. 93 is a little tough. 105. Great clutch, 80 fielding, 78 reaction, 68 speed. So he's pretty slow. He's not like DH quality. He's usually got good quirks. I'm putting him like Bobby Abreu caliber, where I think he'd probably be a better hitter for you than Abreu, but at least Abreu is an elite defender in right field, whereas Paul O'Neill is just absolutely at his best a replacement level right fielder. And we go from him to a platinum glover here in Jason Hayward. Just really mid. I don't know why this card is so much. Just not great quirks. I mean, I guess because it's a career tribute, right? He like retired, I think. 114, 100, 195, 104 vision, 110 clutch. Crazy fielding, but even then his speed isn't like ridiculous. He's pretty mid to me. I would way rather run all these other guys. But I think he is kind of in that Paul O'Neill category where he's the best fielder in this tier by far, other than maybe Connor Griffin. But it's just the bat isn't really there for me. Judge, nothing wrong with this card. I think he's close to DH tier. But if you still mash with this Aaron Judge, like, bro, there's nothing wrong with him, honestly. Like, what a collection reward that they came out with for All-Star, because there's nothing wrong with this card. 120, 113, 105, 125. Vision's a little bit low, but is what is. 113 clutch. Crazy good, like, fielding stats other than reaction, which sucks, and the speed isn't great, so that obviously hurts the defense. But if you just mash with him, if he just hits one home run a game for you, and, you know, is batting 350, you live with the defense. It's definitely not bad. Reggie, just mid. He blends in like this B tier where if you saw your opponent using a Reggie Sanders card, you would probably be like, it's a weird card to use, but there's nothing wrong with them really. When you 100, a little bit low, 125, 102, 110, 84 vision, 100 clutch is a little bit low, fielding's fine. And quirks wise, he is pretty good because he's a new legend. It seems like they just sauce the new legends with quirks where he's not bad. I would definitely rather run Dick Allen, rather run Gibson, all these other guys, but he's definitely top of B tier. I view him as pretty comparable to a lot of these Team Affinity cards that we got. Living Like Larry. Is Larry an A tier right fielder? For me, no. For me, he's not. Last few years, I just have not gotten along super great with Larry Walker cards. They usually have really high contact, really good quirks, a swing that I could take or leave. I don't really feel like it's like an elite lefty swing or anything. And then the power is usually just low. So for me, it's not a legend that I look forward to whenever there's a 9-9 Larry Walker. I never really get excited. The only one I've ever really liked was the Prestige one. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. And if you don't, then you won't, because that game does not have servers online anymore. So Prestige Larry Walker talking. This one, there's just so many. It kind of shows you the evolution of Diamond Dynasty. The fact that that card was insane when he came out, and now Larry Walker's just kind of a fly on the wall because, you know, you can just run a million switch hitters or just guys that are basically perfect cards out there, and he's kind of irrelevant. Jose Bautista, A tier. The swing's a little tough, where if you're in a perfect server, I think you can work with the swing. I think it's not the end of the world. If you're in a scuff server, it's going to be tough. The power is really good on paper, and sometimes it is really good, and sometimes it's not. But that's just kind of the nature of the game that we play. Quirks are really good. Like I said, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's just how it is. So in theory, he's really good. He has one of my best clips of the year, fielding a like one hopper off the right field wall at Shieldwoods and just hosing like a very fast base runner at second base. So he's got an absolute cannon of an arm, a decent enough swing, really good quirks. I've hit really good with every card of his, but I think it's just sample size. I think he's just really gotten off the hot starts every time, and I feel like if I used him for a long time, it would kind of flatline. Really good card, decent enough reward collection-wise. Card art's really nice, but just not a insane card, not a must-have card, not S tier. Dave Parker, C tier or B tier, like bottom of B tier. For me, I'd rather use Larry Walker because I think the swing's better, but stat-wise, quirks-wise, they're pretty similar. New Giancarlo, DH tier. He is probably the best DH that I've ranked so far. I would not say he's like an insane world beater DH or anything, just because, I don't know. I've never loved Giancarlo's swing. I don't mind this card. He's absolutely putridly slow. I do not want you to be one of these guys that are complaining about how slow Posada is or how slow David Ortiz is, and then you just DH Giancarlo Stanton and act like the world is at peace. So if you're going to complain about speed, there's a million DHs you can have right now that have 125 everything and like 50, 60, 70 speed, to where if you're a speed guy, you can't be loving this Giancarlo. Kutch, I include this card. I still think he's pretty good. You know, on paper, stack him up to, you know, Judge or whoever else. I still think he's pretty good. He's due for a 9-9 at some point. This is not a bad card. This card was ahead of the curve when he came out. I still think he's really good. It's just unfortunate that he is an older, washed player now. Doesn't really, you know, have really good quirks. 110, 125, 81, 92, 89 vision, 108 clutch. Decent fielder. Nothing insane, nothing great. So I think he's all right. I think if you love the swing, he's still usable. I wouldn't be trying to use him. He's almost like the outfield version of you know, like Chipper Jones, except not a switch hitter and not with great quirks. So there's definitely not a ton to love there, but he's solid enough. He's a lot better than you running O'Neal Cruz in your outfield. PCA, I'd probably put top of C tier. I think the bat is just so far gone from what you would want at this point to where I would not be running him, but the defense is still really good as PCA. You know, maybe his finest card will have slightly better splits. Who knows? He's batting like 100 past the All-Star break, so it's kind of tough. But defensively, still there. Still has a pretty decent swing. I'm not going to sit here and gas his swing. I think when I think of speedy defensive center fielders, I think Max Clark has a way better lefty swing than he does. So hopefully he gets a 99 at some point. But not a bad card. You know, if you're balling on a budget, if you're just getting back into the game and you're getting absolutely gashed in center field, Pico Armstrong can do that. Byron. This is a tough one, dude, because taking into account his defense, he's probably B tier. And I'm sure everybody that's used this card hits really good with this card. So what I'm going to do is put him in DH tier, and he'll probably be the best righty DH that I ranked today. But acknowledge that you could put him in the outfield. He's just going to cost you some runs eventually. You know, you're playing a gambling game every time you put him out there because he's out of position in right field, left field, whichever one you want to do. And so he's going to get some red reactions. Some games, he'll have 6 balls hit to him, and he'll get all green or blue reactions, and then some games he'll get 3 hit to him and they'll all be yellow or red reactions. So you're always kind of gambling when you put him in the outfield. So I think DH is a more diplomatic spot, but if I had to rank him as an outfielder, it'd probably be like very top of B tier. Cody B, he's fine. I view him as like the lefty version of this Chris Bryant, where the quirks aren't as good as what they usually are for a Bellinger. I don't even think the swing is as good. It's definitely like a slightly altered Bellinger swing. But the stats are still pretty good. And if you love the player, if you love the swing, you can definitely still make him work. It's just probably not ideal at this point. Mickey Moniak, DH, and he's at the bottom of the DH tier because he's really just a platoon guy. If you are looking for a one-off pinch hitter or just a pure like Jock Peterson type of DH where he's only there to hit righties and you just pull him the moment a lefty comes in, he's up there, dude. He's crazy because I think he's 122, 125, maxed out clutch, has a pretty decent swing, and he's got some good quirks. So he is probably the best or one of the best pinch hitters against righties in the game, but he's not too much more than that. Another Mickey Mantle, very bottom of A tier. You can still run this card. There's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with this Mickey Mantle. You know, who's most people's center fielder right now? It's Beltran, right? Beltran, or if I can think of a free version of Beltran, then we'll do that. But you look at these two cards. This is pre-parallels, but the gap will be about the same anyway. You're talking 4 contact right. Yeah, Mickey actually beats him contact left. 3 power right, 23 power left. So that's probably the biggest gap. Vision's a little bit off. Clutch is a little bit off. And then speed, decent. Reaction, decent. So, you know, that's how good Mickey is still. The swing is not great. The quirks are not perfect this year. I believe he's missing one of Breaking Ball or Dead Red. But he's still an exceptional card, and I can't believe that you don't see that many people still running him because he's still a really good option. Honestly, bottom of A tier might be kind of harsh, but he's a swing where some people love it, some people absolutely hate it. Bernie, S tier. He is, in my opinion, like the left field version of Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds is naturally a right fielder. Most people have Beltran. Bernie's not a great defensive center fielder. The natural spot's kind of left field. He's basically left field Brian Reynolds. His power is definitely worse than Brian Reynolds, but I think his quirks are actually better. I would argue maybe his swing's a little bit better. But an insane card. There's a reason if you go look at the market right now, you know, there's probably 10 to 30 cards that are in like 100 to like 300k range, and then after that it just falls off a cliff. Everything's pretty much worthless. It's like 5 10, 20K at the most for like some older or still good, like 97, stuff like that. For the most part, it's God Squad or bust right now on the market, and there's a reason Bernie is still like 100K, even though they gave out a bunch of free signature packs. It's because he's that good, and he's still S tier. Beltron, I think he's S tier. If I had to rank these, I think I'd rank them like that. Enough said about Beltron. If you have the card on paper, he probably doesn't look insane at this point. Then you have to factor in the fact that it's really easy to run a Mets team. Most people already have him super fractured. He's pretty much perfect. Varsho, wherever Moniak's at, he's just a worse version of Moniak. He's like a pinch hitter against righties, or he's like a defensive center fielder that's slow. So it's just not a good combo. Great player in real life, provides value. Not really an MLB the show. Cedric Mullins, how deep are we? We're 30 minutes. Yo, we might start flying. Cedric, like B tier, whatever. I just view him as very similar to like Granderson, Churio. B tier, like stat wise, he's pretty good. If you're a speed freak, if you're somebody that cares about speed a lot, he's really good there. It's just the swing's not great. I don't think he has crazy quirks either. I think people were about a year too early on his breakout. I think he might be insane next year. Willie Mays, top of B tier. Quirks are good. Stats are pretty good. It's just the swing, dude. The swing's always gross with him. I would prefer to not use him. Torrey Hunter, is this the worst 99 in the game? You answer me. Jackson Merrill, cool. I think I view him as like A tier, where if you're telling me like use a lefty in your outfield, I'd take him over Paul, over Larry Walker in a heartbeat, because he's just faster. He's a better defender. I think he's honestly got better swing than both of them. Chandler Simpson, C tier. Yeah, I still think he is C tier for sure, but I'd way rather run him than Pico Armstrong. I think his swing is legitimately so good, dude. It's an unreal swing. It's just you're still hitting lefty most of the time, and the power is going to show up. If you are not hitting perfects, the power is going to show up. It's when you're hitting perfects, he's hitting 800-foot moonshots, you're not worried about it. When you're not hitting perfects, that's when he's lining out. Walker Jenkins, mid. Honestly, just mid. I'm not trying to run Walker Jenkins. I don't care. I do not care. He's a very mid card in my opinion. Michael Harris, like B tier. Basically the center field version of Cody Bellinger. Very similar stats. They're both they're good enough defenders to where you would call them good. You wouldn't call them elite defenders. So I think they're pretty similar. I mean, they actually both play center, but I think most people run Belly like either infield or one outfield or right field, something like that. Okay, Angels, Jim Edmonds. Okay, so the Angels one is better defensively, to where I view him kind of like Walker Jenkins. The Cardinals one is more of a corner outfielder and a better hitter, and I view him pretty similar to like Larry Walker, where I've used Jim Edmonds. I love Jim Edmonds, dude. Like MLB 17, like Cardinals Team Affinity, Jim Edmonds is always going to be like one of my favorite cards ever. It was either 17 or 16. Always going to be one of my favorite cards ever. I always really enjoy his swing. He's got good quirks. It's just the stats aren't really there. He's basically like lefty Andrew Jones, where that archetype's never going to like a power hitting defensive center fielder is never going to translate super well to MLB the show. Or at least not high difficulty. Oscar Charleston, S tier. Here you go. For everybody saying I hate lefties. The only bad thing I can say about this card is he's not a switch hitter, but that should not be a negative. Being a switch hitter should be a positive. Every card that comes out not being a switch hitter is how it should be, honestly. We have too many. It's way too saturated. The only bad thing I say about him is no quirks. No quirks is crazy. I don't know why they don't like giving the storyline cards quirks. Like, they'll give Bismacky pop time, so they know how to do it, and they'll give John an outlier slider, but nothing for the hitters, man. That's brutal. Just not a fun time there, but really good card. Pretty much like pretty perfect other than his quirks. Ken's still up there. View him as like center field Ted Williams, pretty much. If you want to run him in left and bench Ted, wouldn't hate it. Pretty much perfect quirks. If you put parallels on him, he's pretty much a perfect center fielder, other than just the lefty at bat. So, you know, if you're my opponents in Weekend Classic, didn't bother them. He hit by far the most lefty home runs on me last weekend. But you know, you gotta rise to the occasion when you're using him. Profar, bottom of B tier. I don't really view him as an outfielder. He's pretty slow. He's not a good defender. Much better as like a first baseman or even a DH. But I don't think he's bad enough to where I'd put him in DH tier. Tim Raines probably C tier at this point, right? Yeah, I'd way rather just, other than Travis Bazzana, who I put in B tier just because people love his swing. I can legitimately say I'd rather use all of these cards in this tier over him, other than probably like Jason Hayward maybe. But if you enjoy this Jason Hayward, we're just not on the same wavelength. So that's kind of why I bumped him up. Bader, mid, honestly. F tier, honestly. I don't know why you would run him unless he's on a Phillies team. I've shown him off on the Phillies teams multiple times because he's one of the only outfielders. Would I run him if I was running a Phillies team? Probably not. But he does at least get usable on a Phillies team. Jarren Duran, cool, fine, top of B tier. I still see some people run this card. He's all right. You know, he's pretty much Michael Harris with way more speed, so I think he's good. Not a bad card there. Manny, he is, again, another reason why I don't think a lot of you guys should go out of your way for Bautista. If you're a completionist, cool, go get him. This Manny's 98% of what Jose Bautista is. I think his swing is very close, if not pretty much identical, maybe even better. Quirks wise, they're pretty similar. It's just stat wise, and you're not really going to notice. The only difference you'll notice is Manny's a left fielder, Jose's a right fielder, but you can just shuffle around your outfield. It doesn't really matter that much. The only real difference you'll notice is Jose is a plus defender, whereas Manny's not great. But for the most part, like, Jose's not 99 speed. He's not tracking down stuff. He just has a cannon. But that's the only difference I can tell you in these two cards. One is probably, what, 5 million stubs worth of cards to go get. The other's like 20K. So save yourself some time, some sanity. Go get Manny. He's a dog for what he is. Yelich, top of B tier. I wouldn't be running him because quirks aren't great, but a lot of people always really enjoy his swing. He's just not, you know, he's decently fast. I think this is a decent, like, litmus test for him. Is him versus Jackson Merrill. So you can see Merrill profiles higher as a center fielder. 102, 125, 102, 104, 92. So Yelich, contacts more or less a tie. Yelich edges him out a little bit. Power goes to Yelich decently. Vision's higher here. Clutch is almost a push. You might notice a 10 difference there. It's just fielding, like, right, 92, 99, 85, 89 reaction, whereas Yelich is a poor defender. Usually has a noodle arm, so, you know, them giving him 76 is generous, and then 83 speed as opposed to 85. So for me, I'd rather run Jackson Merrill, but I know a lot of people really enjoy Yelich's swing every year, and you're probably not going to play them at the same position. Eric Davis, I think this is just another top of B tier guy where it's not somebody I'm dying to use, I'll be honest. Quirks wise is usually pretty good. Stat wise, this card isn't that bad. For me, it's just 100, 115, 100, 115. That's pretty not remarkable. Like, to me, he's just a platoon guy, honestly. The clutch isn't even that good. The fielding isn't that good because his reaction's bad. Yeah, he's really fast, but the reaction's kind of bad. For me, he's just like a platoon outfielder or even like a platoon DH if you want a faster DH. I'm good. Willie Castro, cool card. Nothing wrong with him in left field. He's like the left field version of Mickey Mantle, where I feel like a lot of people have just, you know, it's the Toy Story meme. I'm done with you now, and they're throwing him away. He's still really good. There's still nothing wrong with him. He plays every single position on the field. He's I would define him as, I would say Manny's probably a bad defensive left fielder. Willie Castro's probably average or slightly above average. He's got an absolute hose. His reaction's not bad. He's not slow. So I like him. I still like him. I still think he should fit in a decent amount of teams. Soderstrom, C tier, lefty, great swing, just really slow, not good defensively. Honestly, could go in DH tier. Don Baylor, F tier. Why are we using Don Baylor? I know he's got a fan club, but why are we actually using Don Baylor? Like, this card is just super relevant. 99, 110, 98, 100. His average hitting stat is like 100. 106 vision, clutch isn't good. I mean, he's kind of fast. He's a poor defender. Like, why are we using Don Baylor? I don't know. I do not know. Willie Stargell, wherever Dave Parker is, nah. I can't just do that with two black pirate outfielders. Like, that's not a good look. Because he's not. I was gonna say they're kind of similar. They're not. Stargell's more of like first baseman, like slower, power hitting. Some people really enjoy his swing, so like I'll put him in DH tier for that. But I think he's realistically very similar to like Kyle Tucker, where, you know, quirks wise, he's probably just better. I'd rather run Juan Soto from like 2 months ago. Schwarber. He's just ultimate DH here, right? Like, he's just arguably the best DH in the game still. So I'm gonna give him top of the tier. If you want a righty, Byron's better. If you want the second choice righty, Stanton's there too. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this helps to kind of give you a better idea of how the outfield's working. I didn't include any like crazy out position guys like Tatis or anything like that, because that's just a whole nother can of worms. I don't even know how you evaluate that. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that. Till next time. Peace.